How to achieve your goals. My name is John Lee, the author of The Wealth Dragon Way. And in this video, I want to talk about 5 ways that we can use to achieve our goals. Now, most of us, if we've come to this time last year and you still haven't achieved your goals, it's probably that you've missed out these 5 things. And I have to tell you this, that most people who implement these 5 things, they have an increased chance of achieving those things in life. You know, most people, they say, oh, I want to achieve this goal, but they never get there because they don't have a systematic way to get there. And today I'm going to show you how to do this. And some of you may have heard this before, some of you may not have heard this before, but I'm going to show you a different spin on this if you have heard this before. And these 5 steps is the same steps that I use to do my own businesses, my relationships, and my health goals. And in anything I want to achieve in life, I've used these 5 goals. So here's the first one, right? The first is the S. Looks like a Z on there, doesn't it? Let me make it clearer. S. There we go. S for Superman. So S, right? What do I mean by S? Well, the S has to be for creating something specific, right? So if you want to achieve a goal, you've got to be really specific about it. Now, what do you mean by being specific? If you want to achieve financial freedom, for example, then you've got to be real specific. So, you know, I want to make, so let's say you're on a 30,000 salary and you want to replace your income, then you say, I want to make, £3,000 every single month, right? So you've got to be real specific. And when I talk about being specific, some people are very vague. Like some people say to me, oh, John, I just want to make more money. Well, how much more money? Right? You've got to be really specific about the amount that you want and something specific if you do want to do business, for example. But if it's a goal for, like in relationships, I want to find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, well, be specific. What does this person look like? How tall is this person? Are they, what background are they from? What might they look like? Who are they? Get real specific, because here's what happens. When you get more specific about something, you start attracting it into your life because it becomes clear in your mind, so you can start to see it. I remember when I first started my property business, I said, I want to be able to buy a property and then make my whole year's salary. But then I had to figure out how to do that. I had to find a specific way to actually get my goals. I had to make it real, because the more specific you are, the more real it becomes. I remember saying, the car that I want to buy, it's got to be this color, it's got to have this leather, it's got to have this steering wheel, it has to have this little, badge on here. And I can tell you that for most of the times, I say most because this is not guaranteed when you do this, by the way, but it dramatically increases your chances. So you have to get the S when you want to be specific, okay? The next one is that we have to be, whatever we do, it's got to be meaningful. What do I mean by this? Like, the reason why most people don't achieve their goals is because they don't know why they want to achieve their goals. I have people come to me all the time and say, John, I want to buy 50 properties. My first question is, why? Why on earth would you want to do that? And so what happens is their goal is somebody else's goal. So you got to find a goal that's meaningful to you. Otherwise, you won't have the juice to pull through it. And I got to tell you that when you understand your why, the meaning for what you do. So let's say you want to, I don't know, drop a stone. Why? Why do you want to drop a stone? Right? You might say, well, John, I want to drop a stone because when I put a suit on, I want to look good in the suit. Why? So I want to feel more confident. Why? So I can have, more power. Why? So I can feel more important. So these are all the things that you're going to write down. And, this M, right, is that it's got to be meaningful to you. Right? Whenever you set the goal, if you don't have a meaning attached to it, you won't do it because you won't have a reason to. It's funny, isn't it? When people are getting married, they'll lose weight right before they get married. Why? Because they want to look amazing in the wedding dress. So it's got to be meaningful, right? So that's the M. So by the way, you can realize what word this is starting to spell. Okay. So the next one is A. What does A stand for? A stands for, what action steps do I have to take to get those results? So for example, if you are wanting to achieve a result right now and you say, well, John, I want to achieve this result, but I don't know how to get there. So there's certain things that you have to do. Like, you cannot just say, I want to achieve this goal, and then it's going to happen. It doesn't work like that. What you have to do is you have to say, okay, I want to achieve this goal, but what are the steps I have to take to get there? So for example, let's say you want to lose weight. The first step, you got to join a gym, right? Second step, you might want to change your diet. The third step, you might want to get a personal trainer. The fourth step, you might want to, I don't know, train with a buddy, right? So these are the action steps that you need in place. These are the how-to, the step-by-step things that you've got to do to start achieving that result. And I got to tell you, some people, when they're setting a goal, they're just like, well, I want to achieve that. Yeah, but there's no substance. So you have to have substance attached to it, and therefore you'll be able to achieve those action steps, okay? So we've got SM. Next one. Now, I don't like this next one. And I'll tell you why, and I'll give you my spin on this. The next one is the R. What does the R stand for? R stands for realistic. Now, let me ask you a question. What is the potential of a human being? The potential of a human being is unlimited. So when you say realistic, now some people will say, well, John, that we shouldn't really have that. And in a way, they're right, because we shouldn't really put limits on ourselves. But on the other hand, we also have to ask ourselves, okay, so let's say you come to me and you say, John, I want to become a billionaire, right? And I ask you a question, have you made your first billion yet? No. Have you made your first million yet? No. Right? Have you made your first 100,000 yet? No. So when I say realistic, whatever goal that you set, it has to be, like, for example, if you say, I want to lose 10 stone in one day, right? You got to ask yourself the question, from a scale of 1 to 10, how possible is that? Well, anything is possible, right? But we also have to be, when I put this R in here, this, when we say about realistic, really what we're trying to say is, whenever we set that goal for ourselves, what proof has there been in our lives that have allowed us to achieve this particular goal, right? So what what evidence has there been, or what little snippets has there been that has allowed us to get to that goal? So these are some things we want to think about when we come to the R. And the last one is T. And you've probably figured out by now, you've probably heard this before, when we set a goal, this is what we call the SMART rules, right? The SMART rules. But I'm going to give you a spin on this, because although SMART rules are okay for achieving goals, I think there's one better than that, which I did some research on just right before creating this video. So T stands for the time frame. So when you set a goal, that you've got to put a time frame to it. What does that mean? That means specifically when, for example, if you might say, John, my goal this year is to buy my first house. Okay, so let's be specific about that, right? Where is this house, right? Where is it, right? Is this house in the place that you live, or you got to be real specific. What does this house look like? How many bedrooms is it? What are the color of the walls, right? Where is it going to be? What does the garden look like? What does the outside look like, right? Then you want to say, well, the reason I want to do that is because I want to be able to have my first investment property, and that means that I'm going to be able to have more time to do the things I want to do, right? Then you're going to go to the A. So what are the actionable steps? Well, there's 3 things you need to know if you want to invest in property. First of all, you need knowledge. Second of all, you need to find deals. And the last one is to finance deals and to exit from them, right? So you need actionable steps. So you might say, well, John, I'm going to get a mentor, right? I'm going to read books. I'm going to watch videos. I'm going to, attend an event. In fact, if you go to wealthdragons.com, you'll see all our events that teaches you all this stuff. But A, these are action steps. Then from a scale of 1 to 10, if you say, John, I want to buy 100 properties this year, right? Well, how many have you bought? 1. Okay, so from a scale of 1 to 10, how doable, not realistic, how doable does that feel to you, right? Does it feel it's going to be easy, or do you feel it's going to be hard? So one of these things that I told you above the SMART goals, I was reading an article on Forbes, and they talked about hard goals. Hard goals. I forget the name of the person who created it, but we call this hard goals, which means the goal has to be out of your comfort zone. It has to feel really hard. And if it is it going to allow us to get us to that point, and is it going to be realistic? And again, I don't really like the word realistic, but sometimes we have to ask ourselves, from a scale of 1 to 10, how doable is that? I mean, has there been any evidence in my life that has even allowed that to happen, right? And the last one is time frame. When by? Well, by March the 16th, 2000 and whatever, right? So you got to be really, really specific. And when you create these goals, it's really important that you understand the most important thing out of this is the meaning, right? Is why you do what you do. Like, for example, when I first started in a whole business, I wanted to start my own business. I wanted to be able to not have to work anymore, to create a lifestyle, to work from anywhere in the world. And the only reason I was able to do that was because I had these smart rules in place and a time frame, and I actually did it in a very short space of time. If you've read my book, the Wealth Dragon Way, you know, you'll see my story and then how I was able to do that. How I was able to quit my job. How I was able to, you know, literally work anytime I wanted to work. How I could literally have financial security, and I can have a vehicle. I created a vehicle that created passive income for me, so I didn't have to work anymore. And then I started, you know, flying around the world and appearing on TV shows and newspaper and TV and radio and all that stuff, and sharing this message with all of you right now. So when we talk about creating our goals, just make sure that you implement this, but then you've got to add those questions on top. You know, how hard is this? Does this feel out of my comfort zone? And the most important one, I want you to write this down. Grab a pen and piece of paper because this is like really important. I'll give you a second. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. When you are setting these goals, right? When you're setting these goals, smart is important, right? But the next question that we must ask ourselves is, what skills do we need to be able to achieve these goals? Like, you can't become a rocket scientist without learning about that stuff. You can't become a property investor without learning about real estate and taxes and flipping. You can't become a online marketer if you don't know how to use traffic and lead generation. You can't trade Forex if you don't know the Forex market. So there's so many different things that you can do, but the question we must ask ourselves when we set this, when we have all this right here, right, is what skills do we need to achieve these goals? And the moment you understand that is the moment you can start acquiring it. And that's what I'm doing right now. You know, I read a lot of books. When I say I read, I also listen to a lot of books as well. I'm always developing myself. It's called what we call self-development. You know, you got to be around the people all the time to keep doing things and keep developing yourself. Right? Constant, never-ending improvement is what one guru says about, you know, getting yourself to that next level, to that peak state where you can implement this. And another thing I want you to add that this misses out as well is the last part, which is, again, one of the most important, is what we call the measurable part of it. How do you know you're getting close to that goal? So, for example, if you want to lose weight, you know, if you put your trousers on and it's tight, then you know that you're putting on weight. And if it's loose, then you know that you're losing weight. And so you need a way to measure it as well. So you need to have metrics in place. So my question for you is, how do you know you are achieving this goal? How do you know you're achieving the goal? Because the moment you can understand the little metrics that get there, and for this thing to happen is to know that I have got close to achieving this goal, all right? So my question to you is, how will you know whether you've achieved that goal or not? And write that down, because that's your measurement points to see where you are. Like, you may be way off. And again, people that set goals, they just say, oh yeah, you know, I want to stop smoking, or I want to stop drinking, or I want to stop, you know, I want to get out of debt. Yeah, but what's your plan? Right? What is your SMART goal, your hard goals? What is your metrics of measurement? What is your why? What is your meaning? What skills do you need to have? So these are all the questions that you need in order for you to achieve your goals this year. And if you didn't achieve your goals last year, then try implementing this and stick to it every single day. And also another one as well, scheduling. You've got to schedule it into your calendar. So pick up your iPhone or your smartphone, take out the calendar and schedule in the days to do this stuff. If you don't schedule it in, it's never going to happen. Then you're going to go, oh, you know what? I'll do next year. Right? And then next year comes, you know what? I'll do the year after that. And 10 years later, nothing happens. So I hope you found this video useful. I just wanted to share this with you because it's really helped me. And I mean, we've got some big goals this year. I mean, I'll be releasing some of the information soon, but there's something big that's going to be happening with Wealth Dragons. And, you know, I can't wait to tell you what that is, because it's, I mean, for that to happen, you know, we've spent 10 years planning these SMART goals just to get to this day. And when that day happens, I'm going to tell you about it, and I hope you can celebrate with us. So hope you found that useful, and you know, watch out for other trainings. And if you haven't been to one of our events yet, we have events coming up every single week pretty much. Just go to wealthdragons.com, check it out there. And if you haven't got our book yet, go to amazon.com and or amazon.co.uk, type in Wealth Dragon Way, and you can grab yourself a copy. And I really look forward to seeing you and some of our events and meeting you in person. This is John Lee from Wealth Dragons. This is John Lee from Wealth Dragons. Make a fortune and make a difference. Thank you.